What's going on, traders? Welcome back to day 24 of 25 days of trading. I appreciate you tuning in this far. If you have seen the other videos, and if you haven't, make sure you go back and rewatch the entire series and leave a like and make sure you're subscribed for future uploads. Today, I want to talk about time frame. Which one is best? If you've seen any of my videos, you know I like to use them together, the 1 minute and the 15 minute. I don't think you can have just one. We'll take a look at examples here, looking at ES to start us off on Christmas week on a Monday. No doubt it's bearish. Now, my full strategy is broken down on AceFX TV. You guys can all get your first month free if you just use the link down below and use code FIRST. That you'll see in that I don't really want to trade, first of all, in the first 15 minutes of the day. I want to let this opening range set. But even ideally, I don't want to trade inside of that opening range unless there's some real strong indications of trend. Now, when we break that opening range, first break of that opening range, I don't want to chase that either. So that would be this final move there. Sellers finally make a new low a day, slightly outside that open range low. Let's see if sellers can sustain us, right? We've been making these lower highs, finally just made a lower low. Maybe this is our next lower high and we go make our next lower low. It's not a bad thing, but this is just solely looking at the 1 minute from New York Open, 9:30, what's happening. So if you fast forward, it makes another new low of day. This is on ES. So sellers definitely seem to be in control. Now, if you've seen any of my videos, again, my VWAP strategy is really a pullback strategy as well, that I want to be positioned at this VWAP. I don't really want to chase breakouts for this low here or see this flush lower and then get short, right? If I'm not in already, I'm not in at the VWAP, I'm too late. So I'm not really interested in any trade at this point anyways. But if you were to take a short there, you can see it quickly doesn't work out, that maybe we're in a range. It comes right back up to this middle point, right at the New York VWAP. What should I do here? This is where I think it's beneficial to have multiple time frames, that you can either use the electronic hours so you can see the overnight price action. I just like to refer to it as the 15 minute because then I'll open it up here on the left. So now let's just go to the minis because that's where I have the notes already made. That this is the 15 minute from the changeover of day. Now you see this overnight VWAP is anchored from the changeover of day, 6 p.m. Eastern. This just gives me a broad view of the trend, although it's only Monday, of what's been happening. So same thing later on in the week. I'll look at it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's been the sentiment this week? Who's been in control? Who's given back control? And so far, since the changeover, I still see higher lows on the bottom respecting above this VWAP, right? I mean, pre-market, we made a nice push for a new high of day. So although that 1 minute looks very choppy, very gross, even making small new lows of day outside that open range low, if I zoom out, what is the reason to not like the longs, right? We're still more so heavily in a bullish trend. Sellers aren't fully in and sending us lower. It's too soon to say that, in my opinion. Now, if we move this note, if we were to break lower on those 1 minute ideas, right, and sustain this bearish price action, then sure, maybe trend is definitely shifting. I'll find shorts on its way down. But being at this overnight view up, yes, we close a little bit below it, right? But we're still playing around that general area. It's too soon to say that trend is going to shift. Let's just go back to last week real quick. And you'll see, I think on Wednesday and on Monday. So this is an example on Tuesday. You look at that overnight VWAP. We'll put it back on. You can see at the open, 9:30, we sliced right through it. We're leaving there. We're away from this. Sellers are definitely in control. That one was higher highs and higher lows leading into it, was it not? Right. So on this day, this one we're looking at, sellers quickly took control and changed the sentiment. On today's price action, they brought us down to that VWAP, but we're not really breaking lower and sustaining lower. So we may move lower, but it's too soon for me to just fully say that with confidence, being how bullish we still are. I mean, look at the day prior on Friday. It was the same idea. Higher lows on the bottom, making new highs. So I'm still leaning long bias until I get solid information telling me to sell it. So that's why I think zooming out, either watch it here on the electronic trading hours, you'll see. We'll put on that New York VWAP. You spend some time below New York, right? This is below New York, below, and below. But when you have this other view up on, just see the 15-minute perspective of things, yeah. And especially you just zoom out, you're like, am I actually bearish yet? I don't know. This just looks like higher highs and higher lows. I might still want to be a buyer around this general area. Now, if it breaks lower and sustains lower, okay, give up on that long bias. Maybe you're being too stubborn. But I think this is a pivotal point of when you're at these VWAPs, it's very tough to predict when it's going to change because buyers are strong. So hopefully you guys didn't get cooked on the shorts of trying to just force them. But at the end of the day, even if you did short it, I don't like it because you're shorting it at New York, into this overnight VWAP. It's not really a trade that I see. So no real shorts on the table for my strategy, right? If anything, I want to be finding the bounces off of this VWAP. But regardless, you give it some more time, let it get outside this range. Who's in control? Maybe sellers do sustain for new lows of day. And you let this play out. And ultimately, the buyers finally had the strength to make a new high to say, okay, this actually was our higher low, looking back from here, from here, from here, right? Just zoom on out. I'm not zooming back a week ago. This is all today, saying, yeah, structure is still holding up more so bullish. I kind of got trapped into those shorts thinking we needed to go lower just because this first 15 minutes was, or that this didn't pop for a new high, or that didn't pop for a new high. It's not the prettiest of price action, but I think zooming out, you need to kind of have some sort of bias to be like, why would we move lower? Like, what is telling me we want to move lower when the trend is still ultimately very bullish, right? We went over that example on Wednesday. It's the same thing you could say on any of these days. Let's throw in the overnight view up the day after that, Tuesday. Now let's do Wednesday. If you throw in the overnight view up on Wednesday, it was the same idea here. You get a break below overnight VWAP, everyone starts just selling it. It quickly gets above. It gets below, quickly gets above because it's still overall in the day, still moving higher. Trend is still more so bullish. And the last example, this was going back to the same week last week on Monday. Notice the difference between the pullback today to VWAP versus this one on Monday and Tuesday we looked at. You put on the overnight VWAP, higher highs and higher lows, respecting above it. We cut through that thing and slice underneath it. So sells are definitely on the table. Now, I'm not sure at this point of the day, the first candle, let's rewind it there and see what that would have looked like. So if you do it here along, let's go back one more bar. So if you were to long it here, you could definitely be looking at it today of like, well, if this next candle bounces us back higher, it's going to look like our higher low here. Why did I sell that? Agreed. Too early to say that sellers are in, despite that being a very strong bearish bar. So let's just say you miss it. All right, you wait another 15 minutes. All right, that's pretty convincing that sellers are no longer trying to hold us up and make a higher low here. Sellers are in. We're going to maybe move a little bit lower here. That's what I would do today. If we're at this VWAP, now could this next candle here going back to, let's say this one, right? When it really breaks below the overnight VWAP, are sellers in? They could be. I'm fine missing that if they're not. That if the next candle is also bearish, okay, you're convincing me a little bit more of the shorts. Some of these higher lows are starting to be broken. Maybe we do find shorts to the downside and go fill that gap. Who knows, right? So I think just zooming out, having that bias, what's the higher probability setup when it's been all buyers overnight? It's been 15 minutes, 20 minutes of sellers. Which one seems more probable? That buyers can step back in, right? So hopefully you guys found value in that. Now my trade today in the morning, kind of crazy. Selling it back down to that overnight VWAP where I know we could definitely want to bounce. You can see I'm out. I'm not calling it going to be a bearish day. I'm just seeing this drift higher overnight well away from VWAP. Everyone and their mother is going to come in on a Monday wanting to buy the market up, but it's already at the highs. I mean, if it moved higher, yeah, I'd be smoked. But just saying, I think we could find a pullback at the open just to reset the day and find more longs later. And you can see this was the start of that chop. But I'm just trading from the extreme back down to VWAP. Now, once we get to VWAP, what do I normally think? We could bounce back higher. So my long or my short is in this pin down to VWAP. Because let me get out there because this could definitely want to bounce back higher, right? So I wasn't ignoring the higher time frame trend. I'm fighting it, yes, but that's the idea of playing these reversion plays. So let me try to scalp it back from an extreme to the VWAP, and then everyone else is going to come in and buy it back up. So I think there's definitely money to be made on both directions, whether you were on stream or not. Make sure you guys check it out. You get your first month free, like I said, if you just use code FIRST, and then with that, over the break, when you have time off, you can study Futures 2.0 where all these setups are in, the VWAP breaks, the bounce plays, not chasing the first break of open range, trading the overnight VWAP that we went over today, right? So everything you need is in there. So if you guys will check that out, leave a comment down below. I appreciate you guys tuning in this far to the video. Make sure you guys stick around for the last video of this series tomorrow. I'll see you guys on stream tomorrow morning.